Moving on to another sprinter at the Tour of Turkey, Benji, that I want to talk about, and his lead-out train, Israel Startup Nation and Andre Greipel. Now, we have said, both you and I, his snap doesn't look like it's there. The first stage Cav one, he gapped Greipel off the wheel, just straight off when he initially kicked, and then Greipel had to claw him back. I looked at his power data. His power curve, because some people are saying his power's not changed. It's the same as 2016. I'm not sure that is true. I think I've looked at his peaks generally are not the same, not hitting 1850, 1830 like he did then. It's more 1680, 1700. Power meter might have changed between then and now too, and he's not able to hit 1550 for 15 seconds, 1500 for 15 seconds. It's more 1380, 1400. Now, he's still doing enough power to win sprints. That's still good enough power to win sprints, particularly at Turkey, with the right lead out. Do you think the problem, if you had to assign a proportion, Benji, between Greipel and his lead out train, who's more responsible at the moment for the poor results? Because sometimes he's not getting even in the top 3, top 4 in a very weak sprint field.
I don't think Greipel is at the level of winning, and I think that it's also the type of sprinter that he is that is making that more difficult for him. Cavendish has it relatively easier because he's got that kick from behind the wheel, and Greipel needs to do it on pure muscle and doesn't have that extra accelerative kick towards a rider like Cavendish. This is the perfect comparison because it's so different the way they sprint. It's also the fact that Greipel is just a much larger rider, so can't benefit from draft as much. But even if he has a draft, again, he doesn't have the acceleration to kick out of a wheel like that and overtake someone in the last 100 meters of a sprint stage. It's just, I think that the lead-out train for Greipel has been pretty great so far. They've had a few stages where they weren't perfect. I think it was the first Cav win? I think it was, where Alpecin took over in the last portion, and there was the Rick Zabel lead-out man for Greipel that had to crawl back towards the Alpecin sprint train and then be able to launch Greipel. But then you're in fourth position, basically. Yeah, Chimolai a few years ago was, in my opinion, a better lead-out, and now he's become a bit worse than that. When it comes to Rick Zabel, I'm curious whether we've spoken about it before. What if we put Zabel in the last position of that sprint and we try and go for him in the likes of a Tour of Turkey? I bet he can perhaps get the same results as Greipel did, and perhaps even better. I don't want to say that it's a bad choice to have Greipel as sprinter, but I think that I would trust Zabel just as much to get results in the Tour of Turkey in the same way that Greipel is right now.
Yeah, that's what you mentioned about Chimolai, Benji. He's won 3 World Tour races. He won Pyrenees Stage 5 6 years ago at 25 years old. He's then won the Open in Catalunya stage, the hilly one with then a flat finish at Bouhanni. He's won another Catalunya stage. He's won Trofeo La Guelia. He's a good rider. 4th at Eschborn Frankfurt in 2019. 2020, he then moved. Well, he was on Israel Cycling Academy in 2019, but he's moved to ISU 2020. No great results, to be honest. He one top 5 in the Giro, 1 top 5 at Tirreno. I don't know. You look at their lead out with Zabel and Chimolai. On paper, it should be overpowered for the Tour of Turkey. Those guys should be blowing everyone out of the water because Zabel and Chimolai are good enough themselves to be coming in the top 3 in this sprint. So I guess the fact that they're not putting Greipel so far ahead of the other riders and dropping him off with 150 suggests to me that the lead out isn't working too well either. Chimolai, short pull, but as Benji said, Cavendish hasn't had the best leader. Cavendish hasn't had perfect positioning for all these wins. He's been having to do it himself. He gets dropped off, 5th wheel, 6th wheel by Hodge in the last K, but then he has to do it himself, surf wheels. So, yeah, you can say the Israel Startup Nation lead out has got a lot to improve on, a lot to work on, but if Greipel was good enough, he still would be coming up there and probably snagging a win at Turkey. And if he's not getting wins here, I just don't see him turning it around for even bigger races. But I hope he gets back. I like Greipel. I'd love to see him clock up a couple of wins. He's contracted for a year or two more, so I hope he does keep winning here and there. But yeah, that's our thoughts on Greipel and Israel Startup Nation at the moment.